Have you ever woken up like in the morning and just like sat in bed until it was late into the afternoon, maybe even noontime? And like internally, you're talking to yourself, and you know that you're supposed to get up and you know that you're supposed to do stuff today. You have important business to do, not even important stuff, just stuff that you need to do to get on with your life. And you realize you're not being productive. You're just sitting on your bed and you're not doing anything, and maybe you look at your phone or you text some friends and you're kicking yourself internally. You're saying, "Hey, get up. Just get up. It's not important. It's not hard. Just do it. Why are you being so difficult with yourself? Just do it." I don't know if you have. Maybe. I guess it's something that a lot of people deal with. This internal dialogue that we all, maybe not all, but that a lot of people deal with. We don't like to call it what it really is, but I think it's healthy to admit when you're being abusive to yourself. That's what it is. You're being abusive to yourself. You're verbally abusing yourself on the inside. You're talking to yourself like you're just like a nobody. You wouldn't say that stuff to, let's say, your mom who is having a bad day and she's still sitting in her bed and she's not doing anything. You wouldn't say that to her. So why say that to yourself? That's a question that I like to ask myself, and I don't know the answer to that. A lot of people don't know the answer to that. I read a comic tonight. It'll be a few days for you. I read a comic a few days ago. It was about this internal dialogue that you have with yourself on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times it's negative, and you learn that from how you were raised. Just like the lack of self-esteem, the lack of, I guess, positivity that you just refuse to give yourself. And I do it too. It's hard to change the way you talk to yourself inside because you're so used to it. I've been living almost my entire life thinking about myself so negatively. I think a lot of people have been doing that. I read a comic about this. It was a wake-up call. I never really thought about it that way because I sit in my bed when I wake up. I sit there and I look at my phone and I see that it's already like 1 PM. I'm a full-time artist. Time is the last thing that I have, and I'm wasting it. And that's what I tell myself. I'm wasting time. I should be, getting up. I should be dressing myself. I should be going to take a shower, and then I should go to work. I have to do that. You need to get money in order to live. You need money in order to afford the house that you live in. You need money to pay the rent, to get your food, stuff like that. But that isn't productive. You're just talking down to yourself. It's taken a lot in me to realize that. It'll take a lot in you to realize that too. I think maybe it's really hard to believe that you're abusing yourself. That's what it is. You're verbally abusing yourself internally, maybe even sometimes externally. Rarely will you ever give yourself a nice gesture. Rarely will you ever compliment yourself. You can sometimes receive compliments from friends or family or even strangers. Nice shirt. Oh wow, I can't draw like that. That's amazing. That internal monologue that always winds up hurting you. Oh, they're just saying that because they're being nice, they're being polite. Oh, the shirt only cost me $5. It's nothing. All that stuff. It's really hard to take a compliment when you know that when you think that you don't deserve it. It's even harder to take a compliment when you don't give yourself ones. It's taken me a lot to realize that I've been doing that my whole life, basically. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. So has a lot of other people, especially recently. I think the number one thing to do, for me at least, I'm not sure, for other people if this is the case, but the number one thing for me to do is to realize that speaking so negatively about yourself, it won't help you. You have to start, living your life one little thing at a time. You can't always make it an end situation, a be all end all situation, especially because, you're living your life and you already have a lot of problems on your back. You're dealing with a lot of stressful situations, rent, phone bill, your friends, your family, loved ones who are sick, maybe school, maybe work, that water, for some reason it's leaking in the kitchen and you don't know why. And that's going to be really expensive if you don't figure out how to deal with that. Just one of many examples that you, me, a lot of people may be dealing with. Don't let yourself be one of them. That's really hard to learn. It's even harder to learn when it's something that you've been doing your entire life. I've lived my life believing that I didn't deserve giving myself compliments. A lot of people have. Maybe you have. I think it's important to realize that that's not true. We do deserve compliments. We do deserve to give ourselves compliments. The next time someone, walks up to you and, you're drawing or you're just wearing something that you maybe don't think is the best, but they do. Or maybe the art piece you don't think is the best, but they really like it. And they give you a compliment. They're really nice. And they're like, hey, real cool hands that you're drawing, or hey, I really like that button-up shirt. Instead of internally refusing that, try and accept it. For real though, for real accept it. Don't just politely say, oh, thank you. Really internally believe that they're telling the truth. Why would a stranger walk up to you and give you a compliment if for nothing else than to make you feel good? That's difficult, especially with how you're raised. Certain people can't do that sometimes. It's a process. I think all of us have to realize that it's a process. This video isn't really, based on anything art-wise specifically. But I think that a lot of artists may deal with this because while our job or our hobby or whatever you want to call it is based on what we make, it's the hardest thing really. One of the hardest. Creation is so hard. It is hard. Don't let anyone else tell you creation is the hardest thing that you can possibly do. It's even harder to believe that your creation, the thing that you're making, art, is worthy of other people's, viewing or worthy of your own. Too often do we look at something that we make and we just recoil in fear or horror, Oh man, I didn't make that hand perfect. I'm so mad with myself, I'm gonna throw this art piece away. Or, oh man, those legs, they look horrible. But you're not looking at the full picture. If you lean back a bit, maybe you'll start seeing the good things in your art instead of just the bad things. Yeah, you may have drawn the hand not anatomically correct, but that face right there, that looks real good. That nose, not a lot of people know how to draw noses. You did. Or the legs, they don't look too good, but those pants, man, real nice creases. You really know how to draw that. A piece of cake. Look at the positives. The negatives are really easy to look at, really easy to realize, and I guess it's just harder to look at the positives when you're always taking note of the negatives. I guess thank you for listening. This was just something that I wanted to make. It's 4:30 in the morning. I read this comic that I'm going to link in the description. I think a lot of other people should look at it. It's just a 4-page comic that I saw on Twitter and I retweeted it. I'm really surprised at how easy it is to not realize that you're abusing yourself. or it's even harder to call it that. I'm still a little uncomfortable with calling it abuse, but that's what it is. A lot of people do it. I do it. Maybe you do it. It takes courage to realize that. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.